have our prominent guest, Dr. Mohamed Elezaby, International Relations Professor. Hello, Dr. Mohamed.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. And we wanted to ask you some questions based on what we read. How do facilitation packages reflect to the state approach to supporting growth?
Well, the successive tax facilitation package reflects a fundamental shift in the Egyptian state's approach to economic management, moving from predominantly revenge-oriented tax philosophy toward a broader concept of growth-oriented taxation. The objective is no longer simply to maximize tax collection. Instead, the government is trying to create a tax environment in which compliance becomes easier, more predictable, and less costly for business and investors. This is extremely important because taxation directly affects investment decisions. When investors face complicated procedures, uncertainty, lengthy disputes, or administrative burden, they tend to postpone investment decisions or increase the risk premium attached to their package.
Okay, indeed. Please tell us more about your opinion regarding the efforts exerted by the state to boost the industrial sector.
Well, the introduction of digital service include new mobile applications for real estate tax procedures is particularly significant because digitalization can reduce direct interaction, simplify procedures, and increase transparency. The government is also preparing a similar system for real estate disposal tax. But perhaps the most important political and economic message is the emphasis on building trust between the state and taxpayer. His Excellency, the President's directive to launch a third package of tax facilitation measures indicates that the government doesn't view tax reform as a one-off initiative. Rather, it is being treated as a continuous process. And this matters because sustainable economic growth requires a predictable relationship between the government and the private sectors. The broader picture is also important. Egypt recorded real GDP growth of 5.2% during the first months of FY 2025-2026 according to the presidency. Therefore, the current objective is to consolidate this growth momentum while ensuring that fiscal policy doesn't become an obstacle to private sector expansion. In my view, the real test will be implementation. If these measures translate into faster procedures, fewer disputes, greater certainty, and lower compliance costs, they could have a tangible impact on investment, employment, and economic activity.
Indeed, Dr. Mohamed, stay with us. And we read from the Egyptian Gazette, Egyptian-Greek foreign ministers discuss regional updates, efforts to de-escalate tensions. Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation, and Egyptian expertise Badr Abdelati held a phone call on Monday with Greek Foreign Minister Georgios Yeraptritis to discuss ways of promoting bilateral cooperation and exchange views on regional issues as part of ongoing coordination between the two countries. The two top diplomats discussed the rapidly evolving situation in the region, with Abdelati outlining Egypt's intensive contacts and efforts to promote de-escalation. Abdelati stressed Egypt's support for all efforts to resolve the current crisis through dialogue and diplomatic means, with a view to containing escalating tensions and preserving regional security and stability. And the two top diplomats also reviewed regional security arrangements aimed at strengthening security and stability in the region. Abdelati and Yeraptritis welcomed the momentum in Egyptian-Greek relations, also various fields under the strategic partnership between the two countries. They expressed their commitment to building on the outcomes of high-level visits and contacts to deepen political and economic cooperation and serve their common interests. So, Dr. Mohamed, how do you assess Egypt's intensive contacts and efforts to promote de-escalation?
Well, Egypt's diplomatic activity should be understood within a broader context of an extremely volatile regional environment. The phone call between Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati and his Greek counterpart, George Yeraptritis, is particularly significant because it demonstrates that Egypt's diplomacy is not operating through a single channel. Cairo is simultaneously communicating with regional actors, European partners, and major international powers. The objective is to prevent individual crises from becoming interconnected into a much larger regional confrontation. Egypt's positions has been consistent: de-escalation, dialogue, diplomacy, and the preservation of regional stability. This approach is particularly important because the current regional crises are no longer isolated. Development in Gaza can affect Lebanon. Lebanon can affect Israel northern security calculation. The Iran-US confrontation can affect Gulf security, energy markets, and maritime navigation. And all of these developments can ultimately affect Europe and the Mediterranean. This explains why Egypt's diplomatic contacts are become increasingly important. Cairo has a unique strategic position. It has direct geographical proximity to Gaza, long-standing diplomatic relations with Israel, a strong relation with Arab states, communications channel with European governments, and the considerable diplomatic experience in mediation. Therefore, Egypt is not simply reacting to crisis, it is attempting to build a regional diplomatic firewall against escalation. The current Egyptian-Greek coordination adds another dimension because Greece is an important European and Eastern Mediterranean partner. The significance of Egypt's diplomacy, therefore, lies not only in the individual phone calls, it lies in the network being created through these contacts, and in a region where miscalculation can rapidly transform a localized confrontation into a regional crisis. Continuous diplomatic communications become itself a form of conflict prevention.
Indeed, Dr. Mohamed, we read from the Egyptian Gazette, Prime Minister Madbouli reviews proposal to boost the stock market performance. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli chaired a high-level meeting on Monday. The aim of the meeting was to review strategic proposals for developing the Egyptian exchange. The attendees highlighted the positive indicators like daily trading values hitting 15 billion LE and market capitalization exceeding 4 trillion. The meeting also tackled market milestones. Could you please shed more light on the fresh incentives to encourage private companies to list and pushed preparations for upcoming government offerings?
Well, the government's focus on the Egyptian exchange reflects an important objective: transforming the stock market into a more effective mechanism for capital mobilization and private sector expansion. The figures mentioned are particularly significant. Daily trading values reaching around 15 billion Egyptian pound, while market capitalization exceeds 4 trillion Egyptian pound, demonstrate that the Egyptian exchange has developed substantial market depth and the investor interest. But the real challenge is to transform market activity into long-term economic value. Encouraging private companies to list can achieve several objectives. The first, it gives the companies access to capital without relying exclusively on bank financing. Second, listing can improve corporate government and transparency. Third, it allows citizens and institutional investors to participate in the ownership of productive companies. Fourth, it can help Egyptian companies finance expansion, technological modernization, and export growth. Government offerings are also important because they can broaden the market and deepen the investor space. But there is another strategic consideration. Privatization and public offering should not simply be viewed as a means of generating immediate government revenue. Their greater value lies in increasing private sector participation in the economy and improving the efficiency of companies through stronger governance and market discipline. Therefore, the success of these measures should ultimately be measured not merely by the volume of money raised, but by where they create stronger companies, deeper capital markets, and greater investment.
Okay, Dr. Mohamed Elezaby, we would like to thank you for having you with us, and we go back to resume Good Morning Egypt. Stay tuned.